Dear students, today in this video lecture we shall be dealing with the water vascular system in case of echinoderms. And we all know that echinoderm phylum Echinodermata has 5 classes, that is Asteroidea, Ophiuroidea, Echinidia, Holothuridia and Crinidia. So we shall be mainly focusing on the Asteroidea, and we shall be having an idea of the general plan of the water vascular system in the case of echinoderms, and then we shall be discussing Ophiuroidea, Echinidia, Holothuridia and Crinidia. Before proceeding, it is my request to you all to press the bell icon and subscribe the channel BioLearnia. First of all, we shall be talking about the water vascular system in general. And we call this water vascular system as a modified part of the coelom. Now, what does it consist? It consists of the seawater, which is in the canals. It is having corpuscles as well, and it is a distinctive feature of the echinoderms. The first thing, that it is a modified part of the coelom. It consists of a system of the seawater filled canals, and it is having certain corpuscles as well, and it is a distinctive feature of the echinoderms. It is a system of canals and appendages of the body wall, and it is also termed as the ambulacral system. So this very water vascular system, either you call it as the water vascular system or you call it as the ambulacral system, it is the one and the same thing. And water vascular system, it is anterocelic in origin. You have to keep in mind that it is anterocelic in origin, and that too it arises from the left hydrocele. So the first thing, that it is anterocelic in origin and it arises from the left hydrocele. It exhibits radial symmetry from the beginning and is equally developed in all echinoderms. Now, when we talk about this very water vascular system or the ambulacral system, it exhibits radial symmetry. So this is also the main feature, that it exhibits the radial symmetry rightly from the beginning in all echinoderms. Now let us have a little bit of idea. For example, herein we are looking at this very figure and this very figure just to make you aware that how this water vascular system looks in different classes of the Echinodermata. Now the plan is same. Now it starts from the Madriporite. It leads to the stone canal, number one. You have to keep in mind that it is the Madriporite. Then it leads to the stone canal. The stone canal leads to the ring canal. Stone canal leads to the ring canal. Then ring canal leads to the radial canal. So number one, Madriporite to stone canal to ring canal to radial canal to lateral canal, and lateral canal to tube feed. So you have to follow a pattern, that is Madriporite leads to the stone canal. From the stone canal it leads to the ring canal, and from the ring canal it leads to the radial canal toward the radius. So from the radial canal it leads to the lateral canal, and from the lateral canal these very tube feeds do arise. These are the tube feeds. So it is leading to the tube feed. So same plan is seen in the case of Echinidia as well. So this is Echinidia. Sea urchins, we see the same plan, that it has a Madriporite, it has a stone canal, it is having a ring canal, it is having a radial canal, it is having the lateral canal, and then it leads to the tube feet. And mostly many times we just see that there is variation. For example, Madriporite may be on the aboral side, and in some it may be on the oral side, or in some it may almost be absent. In some the stone canal is shorter, in some the tube feet are absent. So these are the variations which can be seen in the different classes of the Echinodermata, but the plan is almost similar that we shall be dealing. Now let us have a general idea. First of all, that what is the general plan? So this system lies just above the hemal system. So what we are seeing here, that this is the hemal ring. This is the hemal ring. So we are seeing that this very system, that is the ambulacral system, it is seen just above the hemal system. So the hemal system, above it is the water vascular system. So the first important point. Second important point is that it is primarily locomotory in function. So the first primary function of the water vascular system or the ambulacral system is locomotion. But it also serves some other function as well, such as it has the tactile function and it has the respiratory function in some cases. So besides locomotory function, it may be having the tactile as well as the respiratory function as well. But besides these, the excretory role has also been recorded in some. So the excretory role of the water vascular system, it is suggested by some workers as well, but it is not fully understood yet that how this very system acts as an excretory mechanism, or how it enables some nitrogenous or the toxic waste to get out of the body. So it is not fully yet ascertained. Now, when we see the histological picture, it reveals that the canals have the inner lining of the flat ciliated epithelium. So the inner lining is the flat ciliated epithelium. So when we discuss it the histologically, so it is having the inner lining which consists of the ciliated epithelium. Then it is having a layer of the longitudinal muscles, then a connective tissue layer, and outermost flat ciliated cells. So what it is having, it is having number one, the inner lining of the ciliated epithelium, then a layer of the longitudinal muscles, then a connective tissue layer, and then on the outermost layer a flat ciliated cells. Let us have an idea that what are the contents of the water vascular system. The first important thing is that the fluid which is present in the water vascular system of the echinoderms, it is of albuminous nature. Secondly, it contains seawater and leukocytes, and besides the albuminous nature of the fluid, presence of the seawater and the leukocytes, existence of the red blood corpuscles, it has also been recorded in the case of ophiurites. And mostly it has been recorded in the case of Ophiactis virens. Bignon in 1964, he has shown that the level of the potassium in the fluid is as much high up to 60% above the seawater value. So it is 60% more than that of the seawater, what is present in the seawater. And Boulotian, 1966, he has recorded 14 different types of amoebocytes in the fluid. Now, what are these very amoebocytes which he has recorded in the fluid of the water vascular system, the echinoderms? When we talk about the amoebocytes, they are said to be the mobile cells, just moving like an amoeba in the body of the invertebrates, including echinoderms, mollusks, tunicates, sponges, and some chelicerates. So the amoebocytes have also been found in the case of echinoderms. Let us have a general idea about the plan of the water vascular system, which I told you earlier as well, that starting from the Madriporite and ending up at the tube feet and mostly sucker of the tube feet. But this very water vascular system in different classes of Echinodermata has almost the same structural organization. It comprises few canals together and rightly starting from the Madriporite stone canal, and it leads to the few canals. Now, what are these very canals? They are a typical arrangement of the water vascular system, which is exhibited in the case of Asterias. And this includes the circumoral canal. Now, why we call it a circumoral canal? Because this is also called as a ring canal. So, ring canal or the circular ambulacral or the ring canal, it is one and the same thing. So, we call it as a circumoral canal because it surrounds the mouth, that is the oral region. That is why we also call it as the circumoral canal. It is situated around the mouth, which gives tubular radial extensions, and we call them as the radial canals. So rightly from the, now you have to keep in mind that the Madriporite, then to stone canal, then from to the ring canal to the radial canal. And the radial canal, they are usually 5, but the number corresponds to the number of the radii of the body as well. So we came to know the general plan of the vascular system, which starts from the Madriporite, stone canal, ring canal, then radial canal, then lateral canal, then tube feet. So now we shall be talking about the vascular system in the case of Asteridia, that is the sea star. We are now aware that the vascular system rightly starts from the Madriporite, leading to the stone canal, then to the ring canal, then to the radial canal, then to the lateral canal, and then to the tube feet. So it starts from the Madriporite, ends up at the tube feet. So first of all, we shall be talking about the Madriporite. So if we look at the image of the Asterias, we see that the Madriporite is present, and it starts with the Madriporite and gives off a system of the vessels transversing the body. And we are looking here that Madriporite is a rounded calcareous plate occurring on the aboral surface. So it is present on the aboral surface of the central disc in the interradial position. So this very Madriporite, in the case of Asterias, it is present on the aboral surface of the central disc in the interradial position. So if we zoom this very portion of the Madriporite, we see that there are number of the radiating narrow or the wavy grooves or the furrows, and these very furrows are having the minute pores. So if we zoom this very image to this, so we see that there are many ciliated pores which lead to a collecting duct, which is mostly called as the ampulla in this very region. So these very pores from where the water enters, it leads to a common, you can say, canal, which is called as the ampulla. So the number of the pores, so this is the actual image of the Asterias Madriporite. So this is the enlarged view of this actual Madriporite. So the number of the pores and the canals, they may be up to 200. So there may be up to 200 pores or canals. And the pore canals, they unite to form the collecting canal. So I was talking about that they unite to form the collecting canal, which we call it as the ampulla. And mostly don't get confused, it's the ampulla of the tube feet. So it is the ampulla of the Madriporite, so that we call it as the Madriporic ampulla. So the seawater that operates the hydraulic system, it enters, this very seawater enters through this very Madriporite and leaves the water vascular system through the Madriporite. So it enters and leaves the through the Madriporite. So the seawater, which leads to the operation of the water vascular system, it enters and leaves the water vascular system through the Madriporite. So each pore, it leads to a very short fine tubular pore canal which passes inward into the substance of the Madriporite. There are as many as 200 pores and the pore canal, and they unite to form the collecting canals which open into the ampulla beneath the Madriporite. So we discussed about this in the last slide. Now the second is the stone canal. This very ampulla, it leads to this very stone canal. This is the stone canal. This is the stone canal. So the walls, this very ampulla leads to the S-shaped. So this is S-shaped stone canal. S-shaped stone canal. So it is supported by the calcareous rings. So that is why it is shown as the lines here. So these depict the calcareous rings, and hence that is why it is calcareous in nature. That is why it is called as a stone canal. So stone canal extends downward orally and opens into the ring canal. So it is leading to the ring canal, and mostly this very ring canal herein, it is shown to be as the pentamerous, and mostly it is also shown as the round. But many cases it is shown as the pentamerous because of the penta-radial symmetry, as in the case of the asterias as well. So this very ampulla leads to the stone canal, and the stone canal leads to the ring canal around the mouth. So from the wall of the stone canal projects a ridge which bifurcates into two lamellae many a times. So lamella becomes spirally rolled to occupy the considerable portion of the lumen of the stone canal. So when we talk about this very stone canal, that this lumen of the stone canal, it is lined by very tall flagellated cells. So if we talk about this very stone canal, many times lined by the flagellated cells, in the embryonic stage or in the young asterias. So the stone canal, it remains a simple tube, but in the case of adult asterias, this lumen of the stone canal, it possesses the prominent ridge with two spirally rolled lamellae. So in some species of the starfishes, the lumen of the stone canal becomes very much complicated due to extensive development of the lamellae. Most of the pore canals from the Madriporite open to the stone canal, and the rest open to the axial sinus. So the stone canal serves as a pump that drives the circulation of the seawater. Here in this very picture, what we are seeing, the different sectional view of the stone canal in different asterites, in different, you can say, specimens, or the different, you can say, samples of the class Asteroidea. So for example, this is that of the Echinoderms. This is of stone canal of Asterina. This is the stone canal of the Asterias. So this is the Astropacton, and this is in the case of Calcita. So we do have the mostly as the Echinoster, Asterina, Asterias, and the Calcita. We do have. So normally the stone canal is short, slightly curved, and vertically disposed cylindrical tube, which I told you that it looks like that of the shape of the S, and it opens into the ring canal at the oral end, and it is enclosed by the wall of the another wide canal, that is the axial sinus. In Asteroidea, so in the case of Asteroidea, the stone canal is one and S-shaped, but in Asterias rubens, So we have different shapes. For example, in the case of Asteroidea, the stone canal is S-shaped, but in the case of Asterias rubens, there are two stone canals. So the wall of the stone canal is provided with calcareous ossicles. Development of a longitudinal ridge-like projection makes the stone canal complicated in different members of the Asteroidea. For example, it has been shown here in this very case, for example, in the case of Echinoderm, what we see, it is the Echinus purpureus. The fold projects as a ridge into the canal. So this very fold, it is emerging as a ridge in the canal. So if this is a stone canal, this very is acting or emerges as if this very fold projects as a ridge into the canal. So this represents the simplest condition. So this is the simplest condition which is found in the case of Echinoderm. Secondly, in the case of Asterina gibbosa, for example, in this very case, in the second one, in the case of Asterina gibbosa, what we see that the free terminal end divides into two lamellae. So this very terminal end, it divides into two lamellae, which may be coiled. This is seen in the Asterias and the Gymnosterias. This very condition is seen in the case of Asterias or the Gymnosterias as well. Then we do have the another one, that is the Astropacton. We do have the Astropacton, that is this very condition. It is seen in the case of Astropacton. What we see, the coiled lamellae, they become very complicated and extend between the walls from the one side to another of the lumen. For example, in this case, they just get a curve toward the one side, but here in this they get a curve in every half. So in the case of Astropacton, the coiled lamella become very complicated and extend between the walls from the one side to another of the lumen. Then we do have the calcita. In the case of calcita, what we see, and the Astropacton, many times we see that the whole lumen becomes divided into number of irregular chambers. So in this case of calcita, we see that this very whole lumen, it becomes divided into number of the irregular chambers. So we do have a variety of the modifications in the stone canal as well in the case of the class Asteroidea only. So modifications are there. Now let us have a quick look at the diagrammatic sketch of the Asterias, from where we may be able to know that this is the Madriporite. It is on the aboral side. So mouth is on this very side, the lower side, the Madriporite is on the upper side, and that too in between the interradial region on the central disc. So that is why this is the position of the Madriporitic plate. So this is the S-shaped, then it is the S-shaped stone canal, which leads to the ring canal. So it leads to the ring canal. So it is the ring canal. Then this very ring canal leads to the radial canal. So we do have the radial canal. Then this is the radial canal. Then this very radial canal, it leads to the lateral canal, and the lateral canal leads to the tube feet. So we do have this very plan in the case of the Asterias. So this very ring canal or the water ring, it is located to the inner side of the peristomial ring of the ossicles. And directly, I was telling you about, it is directly above the aboral to the hyponeural ring sinus. So what we are seeing here in this very case, that this is this one is the aboral hemal ring, and this is the lower one below the ring canal, it is the oral hemal ring. So this, now I shall be showing you in the blue, this is the ring canal, this is the ring canal, I may be using the bold. This one is the ring canal, that is above the oral hemal ring and below the aboral hemal ring. So it is wide and pentagonal or five-sided, as shown in the previous diagram as well. Then tide-main bodies. Now these are the bodies such as the Polivan Vesicle, the tide-main bodies. They are attached to the ring canal as well. So that is why we skipped that in our earlier, you can say, remarks. So the ring canal, it gives out interradially 9 small yellowish irregular or rounded glandular bodies. We also call them as the racemose bodies, or the tide-main bodies. So these very portions, we call them as the tide-main bodies. So these very tide-main bodies, they rest upon the peristomial ring of the ossicles. And the actual function of the tide-main bodies is still unknown. We are not knowing about the function of the tide-main bodies still. But they are shown, or they are found to have the lymphatic, you can say, supposed to be the lymphatic glands, so that they can manufacture the amoebocytes, which are found in the fluid of the water vascular system of the echinoderms. I told you earlier about the amoebocytes, that the cells capable of the moving, so which are present in most of the invertebrates. So the actual function of the tide-main bodies, it is not known, but still they are supposed to have the function of the lymphatic glands, and they are present on the ring canal. Then we do have the Polivan vesicles. Just like the tide-main bodies, they are present on the ring canal. The Polivan vesicles are also present just on the ring canal. So ring canal gives off on the outer side. So on the outer side, on the outer side, they give off on the outer side in the interradial position, one or two or four little pear-shaped, thin-walled contractile bladder or reservoirs with long necks. We call them as the Polivan vesicles. So these very Polivan vesicles, they are present on the interradial, you can say, interradial position. And many times it is the one, and many times they can be present in twos, and many times they are present on four. So they are pear-shaped, thin-walled contractile bladder or reservoirs, with the long necks. We call them as the Polivan vesicles. They are supposed to regulate the pressure. Now the main aim of these very Polivan vesicles is to regulate the pressure inside the ambulacral system, and to manufacture the amoeboid cells of the ambulacral system. So what is the function of the Polivan vesicle? It is to regulate the pressure inside the pressure of the water inside the ambulacral system, and to manufacture the amoeboid cells in the ambulacral system. Then comes rightly from the ring canal, the canal which emerges from the ring canal. It is the radial canal. So this is the radial canal. I may be using the green pen. So this is the radial canal which is emerging from the ring canal. So from its outer surface, the ring canal gives off the radial water canal into each arm. So the radial canal, it is leading to each arm, and it terminates as the lumen of the terminal tentacle. So in the arm, the radial water canal runs immediately to the oral side of the ambulacral muscles. Now from this very radial canal, now what arises? It arises the lateral canal. Now these are the lateral canals. So the canals which arise from the radial canal, we call them as the lateral canals. They are short, they are narrow, they are transverse, they may be branches. We call them as the lateral or the podial canals. Many a times they are also called as the radial canal or the podial canals as well. And each lateral canal, it is attached to the base of the tube feet. So these are the tube feet. These are the tube feet, and they are attached to the base of the tube feet. And it's provided it is provided with a valve to prevent the backflow of the fluid into the radial canal. So they are also provided with a valve to prevent their backflow. Now talking about the tube feet, this is the enlarged view of a tube feet. We call this very tube feet as a elastic, thin-walled, closed cylinder or the sac-like structure having an upper sac-like ampulla. So this very part we call it the upper sac-like ampulla, and it has the middle tubular portion. We call it as the podium. So ampulla, podium, and the lower disc. This very lower disc, which is shown in the blue, it is called as the sucker. So the tube feet, it is comprised or it is divided into three parts, that is the ampulla, podium, and the sucker. The mechanism of the podial locomotion, it operates by the antagonistic musculature of the ampulla and the tube feet, and it is contained with the volume of the watery fluid. Ampulla, it contains smooth circular muscle fibers. So we do have the ampullary muscles here. So they are smooth circular muscle fibers and they're remaining in position vertically. So these are vertical in position, and they are also called as the ampullary muscles. These very tube feet or the podium, they consist of the retractor or the longitudinal muscles as well. So we do have the retractor or the longitudinal muscles. I may now be using the yellow color. Retractor or the longitudinal muscles. And there are collagenous connective tissue sheath which is covered by the cuticle. So on the inner side, the muscles, that is the longitudinal muscles, they are bounded by the ciliated epithelium. So the inner side is having the ciliated epithelium toward the lumen of the podium. Then the postural muscles, which lie below the ambulacral ossicle, they provide orientation of different muscles of the podium. So it is the postural muscles. It is the we do have the retractor muscles. We do have the retractor muscles, we do have the retractor longitudinal muscles, we do have this is the lumen of the podium, and then we are having the connective tissue along with it. Then we do have the levator muscles as well, and then we are having the radial muscles, and toward the end it is a terminal plate attached with the suckers. So the levator muscles are also situated. We do have the levator muscles. They are also situated near the sucker. So these are levator muscles. They are just situated near the sucker. When we talk about this very ampulla, it lies within the arm. It projects into the coelom above the ambulacral pore, which is a gap between the adjacent ambulacral ossicles for the passage of the podium. The tube feet are the chief locomotory and the respiratory organs in the case of asterias. Now we shall be talking about, this was all about the water vascular system in the case of the asterias. Now we shall be moving on to the other classes as well. So we knew about the Madriporite in detail, we knew about the stone canal in detail, we knew about the ring canal in detail. So on the ring canal, the two important structures, that is the tide main bodies and the Polivan vesicles, we knew about them. Then we moved on to the radial canal. So from the radial canal to the lateral canal, from the lateral canal toward the tube feet, we also discussed the structure of the tube feet. So the organization is same in all these very classes, but there is little bit of the modification in the water vascular system that we shall be emphasizing on. And now we shall be moving on to the water vascular system in the case of Ophiuridia. So we are talking about the brittle stars. They are included in this very class. Madriporite is present on the oral surface. Now keep in mind that in the case of Asterias, it was present on the aboral surface. Now in the case of the Ophiuridia, it is present on the oral surface. This is important from the objective question point of view. So some have more than one Madriporite as well. So it is not only the one Madriporite which can be present in the case of Ophiuridia, but there can be many as well. So we do have the stone canal. It connects Madriporite with the ring canal, same as in the case of Asterias. So ring canal is present around the mouth. The ring canal, the 5 radial canals arise. Each radial canal will give V-shaped lateral canals or the podial canals. So here in this very case, the lateral canals are V-shaped, and each lateral canal ends into the tube feet. When we talk about the tube feet, it has no ampulla. Now the important point here is that the tube feet are not having the ampulla. Tube feet are not having ampulla. And sucker as well. Tube feet has no ampulla and sucker. It is a simple tube feet without ampulla and a sucker. Hence they are useful for the respiration, and they work as the tactile sense organs. At the 4 interradii, 4 Polivan vesicles are also present. So the Polivan vesicles are also present. But keep in mind, before I may be proceeding on to the other point, that is the Polivan vesicles, we have to keep in mind that the tube feet is not having the ampulla and the sucker. That is why it is not helping in the locomotion, and it is having very useful role as the respiration. So and as a tactile sense organ. So if it has reduced in one role, but it is having another role as well, that is the role of respiration and the tactile sense organ. So at the 4 interradii, 4 Polivan vesicles are present. So Polivan vesicles can be seen. Sometimes the Polivan vesicles, they are accompanied by the long slender tubular appendages. We call them as the Simroth appendages. So in this very case, what we see, this very Simroth appendages, that sometimes the Polivan vesicles, they are accompanied by the long slender tubular appendages. So we call them as the Simroth appendages. Many a times these very long tubular slender tubular appendages we call the Simroth appendages. So they are the characteristic feature in the case of Ophiuridia. So but again, in this very case, tide main bodies, they are not present. So tube feet is without ampulla and sucker, tide main bodies are not present, Polivan vesicle are present, one at each interradii, and that is why there are 4 Polivan vesicles. And the radial canal, it gives rise to the podial canal or the lateral canal, which is V-shaped. So this is the important characteristic feature in the case of the Ophiuridia. Then in this very case, the entire water vascular system, it is lined by the ciliated peritoneum. Entire water vascular system, in the case of Ophiuridia, is lined by ciliated peritoneum. Now talking about the water vascular system in the case of Echinidia. So this very echinidia, that is mostly sea urchins. The water vascular system of the echinidia, it resembles that of the starfish. And here in this very case, Madriporite is present on the aboral side, connected to the ring canal by S-shaped stone canal. So all the position, it is same like that of the sea star. And around the pharynx, ring canal is present, and it is placed above the Aristotle's lantern. So here one of its kind a structure is found which is called as the Aristotle's lantern, that is present in the case of the sea urchins. So Aristotle's lantern, so just above the Aristotle's lantern, the ring canal is present. So we shall be so here in this very case, this very kind of the lantern that can be seen, it is in the case of the sea urchins. So from the ring canal, 5 radial canals. So we can be able to see that if this is the Madriporite that leads to the stone canal, it leads to the ring canal. We do have the ring vessel here in this very case. So 5 radial canals, they will arise. They end as the tentacles at each end of each arm. At the end of each arm, the 5 radial canals will arise. So from the radial canals, lateral canals will arise, and these lateral canals will end up at the tube feet. So what is seen here, said this is the ring canal, this is the ring canal here. So from this very ring canal, what we see now, I may be using the blue. So this is the ring canal. Ring canal gives rise to these very radial canals. This very radial canal directly gives rise to the lateral canals, and the lateral canals give rise to the tube feet. And each tube feet shows ampulla. So here in this very case, we are able to see the ampulla, podium, and this sucker as well, this sucker position. We are seeing the all the 3 parts, that is the ampulla, podium, and the sucker. So at the 5 interradii of the ring canal, 5 Polivan vesicles are also present. So we are able to see the Polivan vesicles as well. So Polivan vesicles can be seen, the Polivan vesicles. Polivan vesicles are also seen, and these as I told you that these have a role to regulate the water pressure and the amebocytes. They have a role to produce the amebocytes. The suckers of the podia, in the case of Echinidia, they are well dwelled. Suckers are well dwelled in the case of Echinidia. We shall be talking now about the water vascular system in the case of Holothuridia. We call them as sea cucumbers. Here in this very case, one important distinction is there, that this very Madriporite, it hangs into the body cavity. It is neither connected with the body surface nor attached to the coelom. So it is just hanging. And the Madriporite is connected to the water ring by the short stone canal. A short stone canal, very short stone canal, connects the Madriporite to that of the ring canal. The pore and the pore canals, they persist, but the coelomic fluid circulates in the place of the seawater. In the case of the pore canals, coelomic fluid circulates as a replacement to the seawater. So ring canal at the base of the pharynx, it gives rise to the elongated Polivan vesicles. Ring canal, it gives rise to the elongated. Here we see that these are very Polivan vesicles, they are elongated ones, and they also hang in the coelom. So Madriporite hangs in coelom, the Polivan vesicles hang in coelom, then the stone canal is short, The pore canal, they persist, but they are having the coelomic fluid instead of the seawater. These are the important characteristic features. Then the pollen vesicles, they may be, these very pollen vesicles, they vary in number. They may be 1 in the case of Cucumaria, 3 to 4 in the case of 3 to 4 in the case of Thione, 10 to 11 in case of certain Apoda. In case of certain Apoda, they may be 10 to 11. So from the ring canal, 5 radial canals, they arise and they travel to the oral region and give branches to the tentacles. So then they travel aborally. So they have one more distinction, that the radial canals from the ring canal, from this very ring canal, the radial canals, from this very ring canal, the radial canals emerge, radial canals arise, but they travel to the oral region and give branches to the tentacles. So they travel to the oral regions, they give branches to the tentacles, and then they travel aborally, and then that is aboral, they go toward the aboral side. And from each radial canal, lateral canal arises, and each lateral canal, that very ends up with the tube feet. And that here in this very tube feet is without sucker. So tube feet in this very case is not having sucker. And in Apoda, in this very class, in the Apoda class of the Apoda of the Holothuridia class, they are lacking podia. So podia is not present in the Apoda of Holothuridia, and here in this very case, water vascular system is confined to the oral water ring, Polivan vesicle, and the buccal tentacles. So if they are not having the role in the case of if they are not having the podia, that is why they are confined to the oral water ring, that is the ring canal, and the Polivan vesicle and the buccal tentacles. So this was about the Holothuridia. Now we shall be talking lastly about the Crinidia, the class Crinidia of the Echinodermata. So we call them as sea lilies. These are sea lilies. They are sedentary animals, that is they are attached, or they may be very sessile. They may be sedentary, that is attached to the certain substrate, and it has a water vascular system which is restricted to the ring canal. So here in this case, what we see, that this very is having this very water ring, and from this radial water canal is arising. So it is having the Madriporite, it is absent. Madriporite, it is absent in the case of the Crinidia. But we find the pentagonal ring canal, it is present. Pentagonal ring canal is present around the mouth, and it gives rise to 30 to 50 short stone canals at each interradius that open into the coelom. These very ring canal, 5 radial canals arise, but what we see in these very radial canals, that they divide into two, 1 and 2. They divide into 2, and thus these very 10 radial canals will travel into 10 arms. So these very 5 divide into 2 to have the number 10, so that they can travel into the 10 arms. So presence of the 500 to 1500 ciliated funnel like canals, or the perforating wall of the tegmen, they open into the coelomic cavity as the ciliated funnel, which is a characteristic feature of the cranids. So the presence of 500 to 1500 ciliated funnel like canals which perforate the wall of the tegmen, they open into the coelomic cavity, and this is a characteristic feature of the cranids. These perforations compensate the absence of the madriporite. Now, these very perforations, these very having the pores, that is, the having pores. This is the compensation to the madriporite, as in the case of other, you can say, class of the Echinodermata. So from the radial canals, lateral canals will arise, and each lateral canal gives tube feet, and the tube feet is not showing, our tube feet does not show the ampulla and sucker. No ampulla, no ampulla, and no sucker. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that they are useful as the tactile sense organs, or for the respiration rather than the locomotion. So if they are not having the ampulla and the sucker, it directly means that they have very less role in the locomotion, but they may be having the role in the respiration and the and as the tactile organ. So this was all about the water vascular system in the case of the cranidia. Let us have a quick recap, or the quick know about the functions of the water vascular system. Now, what is the function of the water vascular system in the case of echinoderms? The first important function is locomotion. So it helps in the locomotion. They have the suctorial podia, we call them as the tube feet, and they which adhere to the substratum temporarily. And the mechanism of the locomotion, it can be well understood in the case of Asterias and the Echinus, where the detailed structure can be studied. But herein we are having just an idea that the water vascular system has a role in the locomotion. The respiratory and the sensory function. In the case of Ophiuridia and Holothuridia, the tube feet or the podia, they are primarily sensory in function. And in the case of Echinidia, or we call them as the regular urchins, the tube feet of the aboral side, they lack terminal disc and are sensory in function. So in the case of Asterias, they are mostly having the function of the locomotion. In the case of Holothuridia, they are mostly having the function of the respiration and the sensory function. In the spatangoids, the petaloids of the aboral surface, they are provided with the lobulated podia without suckers and are believed to have some respiratory function. And they have also role as a excretory organ. Nitrogenous waste are eliminated through the thin areas of the body surface, such as walls of the tube feet. But as I told you earlier as well, that this is not yet studied in detail, but it is believed that they have a role in the excretion as well. So besides locomotion, they have the role in the respiration as the tactile sense organs, or the sensory function, or they may be having the excretory function as well. So this was all about the water vascular system in the case of Echinodermata, wherein we studied the general plan of the water vascular system of the echinoderms. Then we talked about the water vascular system in the case of Asterias. We talked about the Echinids. We talked about the Holothurids. We talked about the Cranids. We talked about the Ophiurids. So we talked about all the classes of the Echinodermata. This is a very much important question from different examination point of view in the and is usually asked in the competitive examinations as well. Thank you for listening. It is my request to you all to like and subscribe my channel BioLearnia. Thank you.